Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Just start by saying this. Look, I've been really fortunate in the way my career has kind of gone. I want to just say that for all of the people that I've worked with, starting as a player, as a young, impressionable 17-year-old kid, up and through, the end of my indoor playing career. I have specific mentors along the way, but players as well that helped guide me to be who I am. Into the coaching ranks, taking what I learned as a player, listening, watching, again, staff, Zig, when we started off, Darren Sawatsky, Dickey, a bunch of people along the way have helped. Zig obviously was a great mentor in a sense that I was able to understand MLS. I think that was critical. And so when I stepped into the head role, I had that experience, and then having a competent staff. I think that's where I'd like to start with today. The staff, Ante, Ezra, Jimmy, Gonzo, I don't want to forget anybody, Preki, Tommy, of course, my conscience, Preki, Andy, Freddie has been great this year. This year's staff, actually, I'm sure I'll get asked, but the last couple of years has been challenging. And those guys, my current staff, has really helped us out in kind of, figuring out a way forward, coming second last year and getting into the top four this year. Those guys have done a tremendous job, so I appreciate them more than they probably know. And I appreciate the fans, and I appreciate all of you guys. I think we have a good rapport, and I want to thank you guys for the years and the experience that you guys have shared with me.
All right, with that, we'll come around for questions. Mike is coming to you. Kevin, you just make sure the mic is on. We'll start with Jeremiah.
Well, first off, congratulations on this.
Thank you.
I guess it's more than 20, you've been with the organization now more than 20 years, which is a...
I'm the oldest coach in the league.
Is that true?
I think so.
I actually didn't know that. But
Okay.
I would say this year seems to have been this year had some different kinds of challenges. If you could just speak to how you navigated that, and if there was ever a point this year where you were seriously in doubt about coming back beyond this year.
I was never in doubt. I know maybe some other people were, but the change and how we kind of got ourselves out of the early season struggles, I was kind of prepared for that because it's happened before. And it's always, you go over every small detail, every little thing matters, everything's important. You kind of readjust. I don't know if I was ever complacent, but certainly there's human nature involved. And you go through all of the things that you've done in the past where you've won a bunch of games, and you think about, does this apply to this group? How did this affect that group? And I think we got it right. Look, it was challenging for sure. Just to address Raul and last year Nico, those guys were the, arguably best couple of players we've had in this franchise. And I say that with, knowing that Clint was here and Oba was here and Chad Marshall and Steph still here and Casey Keller. But those two guys helped us win a lot of championships and a lot of games. And always phasing guys out is challenging. Obviously, it's different when Clint and Roman and Zach Scott and some of the other guys did it, but we kind of persevered. And I would also say that the players themselves have an impact in what I do. So I'll use Raul as an example. So yes, Raul was unhappy, but what did he do? He stuck with it. And you guys watched him train today, and he was really good. And so I have to give credit to the players along the way as well. They've helped us get out of this spot. It's not just the coaching staff, and I would even argue that it's mainly on them because they're the one that's put in the hard work every day. And my main message, you guys have heard this before, it's their team, and they will only go as far as they stick together and work together, and that's how you become successful.
All right, we'll stay on this road to Jackson, and then we'll go over to Nico Moreno.
Congrats, Brian. You always credit your assistants a lot, and I'm wondering, going back to 20 years back to the USL days, how does your, I suppose, appreciation, treatment, leaning on your assistants changed over these 20 years from staff to staff and staff to staff?
I'll tell you a story. So I had to yell at, I don't know what year, maybe 2003, 4, somewhere, maybe 3, when Jimmy Gabriel was there. And Jimmy Gabriel was walking around picking up water cups and the pennies and the cones from a training session out here in Field 3 in Starfire. And I just imploded. I just said, look, you blankety blanks, that guy has more knowledge of soccer in his pinky than all you guys do, and he's never ever going to clean up after you guys again. And so Jimmy was a big mentor of mine. He was a very humble man. Fast forward to, other stories. I mean, I got a ton. I've had great assistants, and, I always try and treat them with respect. I try and give them opportunities to grow as people. And, I think we have a tremendous staff.
Brian, congratulations again. Was it an easy decision? I mean, your job is taxing, and you mentioned the fact that it was, a couple of rough seasons. Is that something that was ever in doubt for you to continue with the club? And especially knowing that you took this team through the greatest decade in its history, is there a fear of not being able to, continue with that?
Well, I'm glad you brought up kind of, I don't know if you use the word failure, but a couple of tough seasons. Look, we're still a successful club. I mean, we don't get beat 5-0 at home in a playoff game. I mean, we have had a lot of success, and it's stressful. My job is stressful, but at the end of the day, the last 2 years might not have been as great and happy as 16, 19, 22, or some of those things, but it's still successful. MLS is a hard league. And so we have to understand that. And was it an easy choice? Is there stress in life after soccer, some of those conversations? Probably not so much after, this season, because I actually really enjoy what I'm doing. But ask me a few years from now, and then I might have a different answer.
Jada?
Thanks. It's a little repetitive, but congratulations. I do
Thank you,
wanna
Jada.
ask, though, how do you feel you've evolved as a coach through the years?
It's a great question, because I used to be very hands-on, and I always thought I could do things better. And then, as a stubborn German, I learned, again, some of those earlier experiences with the USL team helped me a lot. I even coached, I coached youth soccer back in the day when my career was over, and I had George John and a bunch of guys that were talented players where I kind of did most things. But then as I grew, I understood that, a different perspective, a new perspective is good. And what I would always do is go through the same exercise, like when Jimmy Gabriel said something, or if I go to coffee with Alan or something and he tells me something, I'll reflect and say, why did they ask me that question? Or what do they see that I might not see? And that little bit of reflection has helped me kind of grow and understand that you can't do everything. One of your articles this year about Andy and his success and his growth as a coach, he puts a lot of work into set pieces. I used to do the set pieces, but now he's done a great job, and it just works.
And then the technical parts, how many years? I mean, if it's 3 again, it seems like that would take you into retirement, and how much?
Well, people nowadays have to work longer. So I might, who knows when I'm going to retire. But, we'll just take it as it comes, and we'll make another decision here in a couple of years, and we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm not ready to leave the club yet. That's what I would tell you.
All right, we'll pass it over to Aaron there.
Brian, despite the difficulty or challenges in deciding whether to come back or not, how exciting is this for you to be able
Very.
to, to be here?
Well,
for
it's when I look at the club and I take a step back, we are on the cusp of something that's generational. It's once in a lifetime. So we've got the Club World Cup coming up in 2025. Okay, and we earned that right to be in there based on our 2022 results. And we have an opportunity to play meaningful games. Not that Morocco wasn't meaningful, it just ended the wrong way. But we're now going to be involved in the biggest club tournament in the world. And I don't know what the draw is going to be, but it really doesn't matter. Whoever the teams are, we're going to be so fired up to compete. And that's maybe once in a lifetime. Maybe we can do it again. I don't know. But then you fast forward one more year after that, or, look, if things go well, we might get in the CCC again. But you fast forward from 2025, then you go into 2026, and there, as a fan, I mean, it's the World Cup. And we're going to host a bunch of games here. And one of my best stories is back in 1994 when I got to visit Stanford Stadium and we went down to LA to watch US Colombia. And some of those moments I was like, oh, wow, this is great. But I know this organization, I know this club, I know this city very well. It's going to be such a great event, a once in a lifetime, for me anyway, event to host World Cup games here. And so for me, the opportunity that this club has for all of us to enjoy a bunch of good soccer games, I love it. It's great. I'm very appreciative that I can still be around.
And the follow-up to that is when the transition was made after Siggy and you taking over as interim, at that point, to kind of reflect back on that and look at what's been accomplished since then, and for you to now have the opportunity to have been here as head coach and, approaching a decade, and being more than 10 years at the very least. Just thoughts on that?
I'll have to put that into perspective when my time here is done. Look, I know my time is going to end here at some point. I hope that it's in a positive way. I don't want to get fired, but I understand that that's part of the gig. What I would say about reflection, have I done reflection? Yes. I don't know if I put it totally into perspective my entire career, but certainly loved the work that we did, loved the success that we had with Zig. That first Open Cup win in DC was great. Some of the other massive games, Open Cup in Philly is another one of my fondest memories, when Zach Scott had a busted bone in his foot and he powered through, and we brought on Clint and Oba, and we had a big party after that. That was kind of fun with all the fans. There's a lot of things that I reflect on and think, again, that I'm just very fortunate to be involved with a great club, and hopefully we can make a few more memories.
All right, yeah, Jada, come back to you.
As far as the timing of this announcement, did you have a part in that, or what do you kind of think of this timing before playoff?
Well, I mean, look, timing before the playoffs, you know me by now, I don't like to take any sort of spotlight away from the team. I think the playoffs are absolutely most important. This is a necessary evil, maybe in my eyes. It's got to be announced, or it will be announced. So this is what Alex, that mean guy over there, forced me to do. But, look, I'm just happy to, talk up here for a little bit more, and then we're going to go back to work. The coaches are still there waiting for me. We're going to get back to work because it's the playoff time.
And with that, Paul, I didn't see Paul training today. Is there anything that should be?
No, he's got some tightness. We are taking all of this as let's get everybody ready to play on Monday.
Nico.
When you look at yourself, and you don't like the reflectors on you, but you've done and won everything with the Sounders, and yet maybe the perspective of not being part of head coach of the year, or the narrative outside of Seattle isn't really there. Do you keep that as a chip on your shoulder, or how do you take that?
Sure, sometimes. Sometimes I'm very proud of the record that I have, record that the club has, but Steph Fry, maybe I'll, when we're retired, we'll talk about that and complain about that. Oh, Steph, you were pretty good. Hey, coach, I don't know. I don't know. But right now, it doesn't bother me that much. I understand it. I like to deflect. I like to give credit where credit is due. Not one coach is always responsible for wins and losses. It takes everybody within an organization, players, support staff, coaching staff, head coaches, captains, goal scorers, defenders. It takes everybody.
All right, we'll keep going down the road here. Jeremiah?
Yeah, I guess on that same note, Jackson was named one of the
Yeah.
finalists for Defender of the Year.
Great.
What do you make of that? And
Love it. Love it. It's good praise because he and Ymar, both of them should be. Now, maybe it was maybe a little surprise that Ymar wasn't included in there, but he's been a candidate for this award. Now Jackson, I think we have two of the best center backs in the league. You could say that very easily. Then you've got a guy who should be goalkeeper of the year at some point in his career. So these individual accolades come from, again, good teamwork.
And was this did you feel like Jackson was this an improvement over his past?
Yeah.
What did you say about his progress as a
Well,
as a defender?
you guys have seen his growth. I'm glad you threw the word defender in there at the last minute, because what I told him when we gave him the news was, yeah, okay, he scored some pretty big goals for us. His passing is excellent. His vision, his decision making. His decision making on where the ball goes drives our initial buildup. But what he still needs to do, and his ceiling is even higher, is he needs to make sure that he gets the defending right. Look, again, it's a team sport. The goal that we took against Portland, his part in that play, we shouldn't have lost the ball up here. Knew who should have kept him going down the line. But when he came inside, Jackson's got to do better there. And so those are the learning things that he can still get better at, and then he might win the award. You never know.
Jackson?
You brought up 5-0 a couple minutes ago. What was your reaction to watching the house?
I said that tongue in cheek because I actually like Phil. Look, it's a unfortunate result for them. I was sitting at home with Christine, and we were obviously enjoying that moment. There is a big rivalry, but Vancouver, you got to give credit to Vanny. He had his team ready, and Gauld's goal, the one that he just dinked over the goalkeeper, that's class. I mean, if Messi's doing that, people would be going like this, but it's Ryan Gauld, a Scotsman, and maybe that doesn't get as much juice, but that goal was fantastic. And, congratulations to Vancouver. And look, Portland will get it together. Phil's a good coach. He'll figure it out.
How much do you watch other playoff games and just study them, whether it's as a fan or as a coach?
As a fan. I watched Atlanta as well, Montreal. It was interesting, the penalty kicks. You try and get into the mind of the penalty kick shooters while you're watching the game and all that. But most of the time I watch at home as a fan. I do my work in here with the film, but we've got good film guys, and they usually give me condensed versions of every game, and it's very complete and very thorough.
Nico?
I'm just wondering if you take on the difficulties or challenges that a team like Houston that almost mirrors you on formation, on concepts, on the way they push the right back the way you guys do. What are the challenges that presents?
Well, Herrera, we didn't play against him the other day. That's going to be an added challenge. He's a tremendous player. They play similar to us in their build-out. Their attacking movements are a little bit different than ours based on their personnel and all that. But it's a good team, well-coached team. Their possession is obviously their kind of calling card. And so what I don't want to do is give them too much, the right time to press, when we have to fall back because we're not organized. I don't want our team to press and, lose energy or burn energy when it's not the right moment. But we can't let them feel comfortable. We have to make sure we take the game to them, and that'll be the challenge.
I have a question that's a little bit out of the blue, I suppose, but what have you made of Snyder Brunel's progress over at Defiance, and as they go into the playoffs here, or already in the playoffs, but as they go to the next round of playoffs?
It's another sign of a good organization. H does a good job. You know, Wade Weber, everybody there on the development side, Henry, all those guys do a really nice job, and Snyder's just one of many talented kids that we have coming up through the ranks. Defiance is a great educational learning tool for some of our young players, and we always enjoy when they get good results. I always enjoy when the Defiance players come up to our training sessions. It always adds a little bit of juice because the kids are all hungry. They all want to impress. So Snyder's just one of many strong talents that we have.
Jada, we'll go back to you.
I wanted to ask, you know, just as being a Seattleite, how much does the good and the bad or the pressure of being a coach this long with the club and this is your city, how does that really factor into everything throughout your career?
Well, I don't take the fact that I'm a coach in my native city lightly, if that's the subtle pressure that you're kind of getting towards, because I know I'm very fortunate and I have to work hard to make sure that I keep my job. Whether I'm in Seattle or whether I would have gone somewhere else or whether I would have retired, we can talk about that, but it hasn't happened yet. I appreciate Adrian's support. I appreciate Craig and our conversations, honest, hard. He's a Northwest guy. Right now, this works. It's all good for me, and I don't take it for granted.